Imagine you go to a restaurant for a meeting with someone you don't know well, and you find they're talking Italian to the waiter. Or let's say you're at a friend's house and someone sits down and starts playing piano really well. Your esteem for the person goes up, doesn't it? They have a whole new dimension to them that you weren't aware of. And have you ever noticed that the more someone has mastered something, say speaking Italian or playing piano, the more effortlessly they seem to be able to do it. And yet if you decide to learn a new language or a musical instrument or to paint, it's hard. You have to build up some sound foundational skills. I love this quote by Derek Sivers. He says, "Mastery is the best goal because the rich can't buy it, the impatient can't rush it, the privileged can't inherit it, and nobody can steal it. You can only earn it. Mastery is the ultimate status." It's a great quote, isn't it? And it's why I suppose we call it mastery. With that in mind, let's look at 2 myths about gaining mastery and then 5 principles on how to master anything. First, the myths. 1, you need passion for what you want to learn, and 2, you're going to need to spend 10,000 hours at it. Now, lots of people are drawn to the idea of learning something new, but feel, oh, I'm not passionate enough about that, and so they don't act on it. If you're waiting for a passionate desire so you can start learning a musical instrument, say, or to paint, well, you're going to wait a long time because that's just not how it happens. I can say from my experience, you start actually with a small voice inside that suggests a possibility, and you can take yourself up on it. You get a leaning, a hint of a direction, and it's your job to engage and fan that into an enthusiasm. And the second myth, that it takes 10,000 hours to master it, that's a really discouraging idea, isn't it? You've probably heard of that 10,000 hour idea. It was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in a book called Outliers. And Gladwell had drawn on the research of Dr. Anders Ericsson, who'd studied violin students in Berlin. But in fact, Dr. Ericsson said Gladwell had misrepresented the research. It's not the number of hours that matter. Now first, realize that Dr. Ericsson's research was on gifted violin students wanting careers in the insanely competitive world of concert violin. Now you, on the other hand, are probably trying to get good, maybe even really good, but it's a different arena of proficiency. You want, I imagine, to build the skills to have an engaging, ongoing artistic practice, to having a meaningful outlet for your creative expression. That doesn't take 10,000 hours. And once you get to a certain skill level, you're pulled naturally by your own enjoyment of the process itself and your own progress. It becomes self-perpetuating. So let's look at the 5 principles you need to master anything. Principle number 1, learning any skill, of course, does take practice. Nothing can replace that. But you need to learn how to practice. The point of Dr. Ericsson's research, it isn't the number of hours, but the kind of practice. You need to spend your practice hours using what he called deliberate practice. Not just any old practice. So take driving, for instance. You drive every day probably. You get lots of practice doing it, but you never think when you get up in the morning, today I'm going to practice my high-speed turns. Your driving no longer improves really because it simply isn't your intention anymore. But let's say instead you were learning to play a piece by Chopin on the piano. And you can play most of the piece, but there's part of it for the left hand in the middle you just can't seem to get. Deliberate practice would focus on that. And as it happens, most of skill improvement comes from the effort to master that difficult section, to hone the particular skills where you are weakest. Principle number 2, you need to know what specifically to practice. Learning principles, not just techniques. You need someone who can clear the decks of confusion and set before you the most foundational ideas or concepts in a series of logical and sequential steps that you can then practice. In other words, the knowledge needs to be clear and it needs to make sense to you. It's a little like that adage, when you teach a person to fish, you feed them for life. So let's take an example from painting. Supposing one of the pieces of advice you had heard is you should always start with a thumbnail sketch before beginning to paint. And so you do a thumbnail. Here are a couple of student thumbnails. Now, I'm showing you these not because they're good or bad, but to show that the students have done them with no real understanding of what they're trying to do. They don't understand the principle of what they're doing or why. In these examples, the students have drawn something, but not in a way that makes it easier to paint. It's hard to do something meaningful if you don't know the meaning of the something you are doing. Now look at these thumbnails. They have only one function: to figure out the placement of the main shapes or masses on the picture plane and how these main masses guide the viewer to a center of interest. That's the function, the principle, the meaning behind the thumbnail. And with that meaning, you have something meaningful to try to do. But you need to understand the principle behind creating thumbnails, why we do it, what they're for, in order to practice them and use them to actually improve your painting by making thumbnails. That's one of the reasons that my Mastering Composition course focuses on drawing. It's the easiest way to learn the principles of sound composition with just a pencil and paper. Use the simplest tools possible. And so that's what we do on the course. Principle number 3, your practice should be challenging. Everyone in educational research today says the best way to learn is to struggle, to challenge yourself, not overwhelm yourself, but out about 10% beyond your comfort zone. That struggle embeds the skills and the knowledge. It makes them permanent, and they become permanent because the struggles actually create new neural pathways in the brain. Deliberate practice reinforces those pathways. And we need to learn the skills, of course, but those skills get embedded because of the shifts that happen up here. And that neurological shift lets you start to see like an artist. So you see how to extract, simplify, eliminate, and where to put emphasis. That gets embedded neurologically, which gets us to principle number 4, perhaps the most important. You want to be engaged in the process of mastery, not in the result. I mean, you think, of course, the result is what you want. You want to be fluent in French, or to perform piano, or to get into juried painting exhibitions. But if you don't learn to love the flow and engagement of the process of learning for its own sake, you'll never get to the result. Because ultimately, what the process does is for you. I mean, let's be honest here. Really, the world doesn't need your art or mine. But you need your art, your vision. And that is what the process does for you. The artistic practice shifts you and your perception of the world. Because in truth, we never really arrive. When we get there, we realize there's still so much to learn. I still feel that way after 40 years of painting. You've got to love the journey because the process is really the point. That isn't a glitch. It's a feature of artistic practice. And why Titian, who'd been painting since he was 16, at 92 said, I think I'm finally getting the idea here. And principle number 5, I call the dance of avoidance. That's the barrier or resistance that you put up each time you start. Nothing kills creativity quicker than letting your resistance block you from getting started. And it's real. I still deal with it. But to make real progress in our art, we have to learn to overcome our own dance of avoidance. We have to learn to navigate our fear of creative expression. Well, what do we fear? Well, who really knows? Ridicule maybe, or shame about something we tried and we were made fun of when we were young. But learning to overcome the resistance is much, much more important than talent. I mean, we express our fear in lots of ways, but perfectionism often tops the list. Oh, I can't show this painting yet. It's not any good. I'm not any good. If we want to have an artistic practice, we need to learn to let the paintings go, to ship them. Better done than great. We need to learn to make the work, do it, realize that a lot of it may not be necessarily that good, but we need to do it in order to have an artistic practice at all. And you know, some of the work will stand out. This is true of all artists. It matters less how good each individual piece is, and much more that you're actually doing it as a practice. Everyone, of course, thinks that what they're struggling with is unique to them. In truth, there are usually only 3 or 4 main issues at any given time that might be causing you problems. And we have a unique critiquing system in my course, Mastering Composition, that allows you to start really seeing your own work more objectively, both the strengths and the weaknesses, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and why. And this feedback practice builds artistic resilience. Getting over the fear of vulnerability and failure lets you feel the excitement to try new work, to explore, and to feel the enthusiasm of your own creativity in action. In most of those online university courses, the completion rate is around 7%. 7%. I've taught this course now to 2,500 people, and we have a completion rate of 90%. That is, 90% of the students posted images for each of the 6 weeks of the course. And everyone knows you get better with practice. Practice is the #1 way to improve. Nothing replaces it. The Mastering Composition Drawing course gives you specific exercises of deliberate practice each week. Each week builds on the last, so you're learning and integrating foundational skills in bite-sized chunks. During the course, you'll experience these 5 principles of mastery, and you'll get to see how they coalesce into an efficient and effective way to dramatically improve your painting. If you want to take big strides towards mastering composition and transforming your painting, I invite you to join me inside the course. Registration is open now for a week. The course runs from April 18th to May 30th. Directly below this video, you'll see a gray box that says, for more information, click here. Click on that, and that link will go to the course information page. Or you can go to my website, ianroberts.com. And there you'll find all the details about the program, what it is like, how it works, and how to sign up. And in 2 days, I'll have another short video on the #1 skill you need to master both loose brushwork and for more vibrant color. So go ahead and click below to learn more about my online course, Mastering Composition. I'd be delighted to see you on Saturday, April 18th, for our first live call of the course. I'll see you then. All the very best, and bye for now.